Okay, so the second part of the deliverables that we're going to tackle, or actually the first deliverable we're going to tackle in the second part of the piece that I've given you to complete this conceptualization phase, is going to be the establishment of the approximate program element sizes. And we've talked about this before, but now it's time to create it. So what I want to go to first is, you'll see in my program element approximate size analysis, I've created a sheet, a table, that has my program elements listed and all of the approximate program element sizes. And again, these approximations that's what they are. They're approximations. So they will more than likely change as your design becomes more and more real, to where it's actually going to become to the actual form. So this is just a guide to help you, kind of as a foundation, so you're not just starting completely from scratch. You have something to start from, and that'll become more evident as we transition into the functional diagrams. And you'll see here, for me, I ended up adding some more program elements to be a little bit more specific about how I was going to organize this space. Specifically, the vegetated space we had equated at the 7:3 ratio. For me, was the 6,031 square feet. But that was kind of ambiguous. What is vegetated space? And actually, the edible garden was a component of vegetated space because it's vegetation. So for me, I deleted that actually, and I will refer to this again as I begin to make my design real, getting further and further into design development. So it'll become part of my parameter, but not necessarily a specific program element. So I broke that out and I created a native planting area, lawn space, and planter beds, and also vertical landscape. I was trying to make these blue so you can see the ones that I've added, and the vertical landscape. So I'm going to actually go ahead and just delete this item. So let me delete that row. And this is going to be my list of primary program elements that I'm going to run with for this project, for this design. And everything won't have an approximate size. For instance, I know that there is a certain number that I'm trying to hit for an overall vegetated space, but I'm not sure how much space of that's going to be taken up by planter beds. I'm not sure yet, so that's ambiguous. Lawn space, the same thing. The native planting areas, I just don't know yet. The walkways, we know they're going to be 5 foot wide, but really beyond that, we don't know what form or which shape they're going to take. And we'll do the walkways separately too. You can add bubble diagrams, or functional diagrams rather, or bubbles to the functional diagram that could represent walkways. And actually, Booth and Hiss do that in their example. In this case, I don't believe I am. I'm just going to use circulation paths, and we'll look at that as we get further into this process when we actually begin our functional diagrams. But still, there's no set size for that. The next one is going to be the garden tool storage area, and I've allocated 25 square feet to that as a maximum because I don't think you need a lot of space for that, but that's my personal opinion. If your group comes up with something else, then that's fine. Just try to base some of these numbers in reality, and if you don't have a metric that you don't see on that presentation board on the wall of Booth and Hiss's pieces, then maybe you can do a Google search or just pull out a tape measure or kind of figure out and talk it out in your group what these element sizes should be. All right. And again, you all should be doing this before you're tackling your functional diagrams because this is really going to help. The water features, don't know yet. The art element, I don't know yet. Parking, I'm not sure. The gazebo, I put a minimum of 30 square feet, and there probably should be a maximum of something there too. So let me go ahead and just put a minimum and then a maximum. A maximum, I don't know. Let's say 400 square feet. You don't want to get much bigger than that, I don't think, for this space. And this is something you can work out, and this is on the fly for me. I'm not looking at it, I'm just trying to imagine what that would be. But you would come up with a maximum minimum for some of these items, maybe to help you. All of them, it's not necessary. Maybe the social seating and gathering area, 30 square feet. Maybe there is a maximum for that you can set for yourself. And I'm just going to take a stab in the dark for this one too. And maybe that's 600 square feet, maybe. And again, these things can shift as you begin to design. They're just helping you establish a place to begin to design from. I'll call that max. All right, so this is good. You see this? All right, so now that I have my bus stop, I created a bus stop area. Maybe there's a maximum for that too. Let's see, it's up there in the front. So let's call that, I don't know, 70 square feet. It's pretty big for a bus stop area. The edible garden, let's give that a, I'm not sure. The edible garden could be very large. It could be take up a lot of the space. So maybe I won't give myself a max on that. I don't want to limit that too much. Don't know yet. Okay. All right. So now that we have these established, we can begin to create a graphic representation of them. And the way that I'm going to do that is to do it in Autocad. So you're going to open up your Autocad. You're just going to go File, New Drawing. And remember that I'm just going to select OK for that template. It's fine. Whatever you have should work as well. I'm going to turn off my graph. Now keep in mind I'm working on a Mac, so this is going to be a little bit different for you on a PC, but it's a very simple process, so there shouldn't be too much miscommunication or you not seeing exactly the functionality I have on my Mac. So what we're going to do first is create a text box. I'm in model space. I'm just going to create an M text box, M text. And I'm going to start writing in each program element. So I'm just going to copy this and jump over here into CAD, put that in, make sure that's a decent size. That's cool. All right, so this first one I said was 30 square feet and a 600 square foot max. So 30 and 600. So I'm going to jump back here to CAD. I'm going to grab my circle tool. I'm just clicking on it once. I'm going to draw two circles. So I'm going to draw this one. This is going to represent the minimum. And I'm going to actually turn on my ortho. You can hit F8 on your PC to do that. Just so that when I copy these, and you can see my keys being captured, but I'm just dragging it over. And that's good. Let me do that to copy. There we go. Drag this one over. So this is going to represent the minimum side, and this will represent the maximum side. Now, on the PC, you have an advantage. You can actually click this item, click your circle, right-click and go to Properties. A dialog box like this should appear, and you will see your area. It would be enabled, allowing you to simply just change it to what it needs to be. Unfortunately, on a Mac, and I don't know why it's like this, it doesn't allow you to do that, and that really sucks for me because then I'm having to actually do a formula for each area. But if this ever happened to you, if you happen to be on a Mac, all I'm using is just a free calculator that I found online that allows me to specify the area, and then it will return a radius for me. So in this case, I was using 30. So I'm just going to copy that radius over. And again, you won't have to do this, so I actually just skip this part, but I'm going to show you my pane. And then I'm going to come back over here to radius and hit that there, and you'll see that the area has shifted to 30 for me. So for you, you can just simply put it in, and this next one, I'll do one more. I want it to be, what did I say, 600, and then calculate, and the radius here, I'm going to copy that over, come back here to CAD, go to this other circle, to the radius, I'm going to paste it in. That's big. Okay. Alright. I'm just going to drag that over. So I have a minimum and maximum, and I have this thing tagged. And that tag might look a little small to me now. So let me make that a little bit bigger. Make that maybe a 0.3. Still kind of small, but I want to be able to read it at a 20 scale. Alright, so now I'm going to do that for each of these items, and again, this should be easier for you to do because you're just going to simply put in your circle and then change the area. So I'm going to finish mine, and all I'm doing is just, let me show you this too. I want to keep these things straight, so I do have ortho on. I want to pull these things down because I want to make sure this is as tight as possible on a grid so it looks good, because hopefully we'll just be able to render it and not have to copy it when we do our final board. So even at this point, though we're many steps away from the final board creation, I'm still thinking about that end result and trying to make my life easier, make work easier for me. So I want to be able to just render this essentially in Photoshop or by hand and scan it in and drop it in my board. So I want to make sure that all these elements are tight. Okay. Make sure your spelling's right, and also be cognizant even of the fonts and things that you're using too. Okay. Maybe we can change some of that out later, but still, good to be thinking about these things. So the next one then would be private seating area. So I'm just going to copy that and drop this in. Great. And now I'm going to do the same thing effectively. I'll just copy it. Rather than creating new circles every time, you can basically just copy the ones that you've made, drag them down, and I'll do one more, and well, you get the point. And then I'm back to doing the same way. This way you would just basically go back here and you would find your 11 square feet and 30 square feet. You would jump back over to CAD, you would click on this, your properties dialog box would still be up in 11 and 30, and that's that quick. So this should go quicker for you than it will for me, but I'll finish this quickly and cut back into where we're actually doing the page layout or setup to print. Okay, so we're back, and I've completed putting all of my areas in. Hasn't taken too long. I don't know, 10 minutes or so, and a lot of that was just because I had to go back and do those area calculations. But anyway, I also discovered quickly before you do this, I ended up making my font size a 2 because it was too small. 0.44 was just too small when I went to the layout. So once you have this done, and again, you won't have an approximate or a minimum and maximum size for everything. That's just kind of the way it goes. So, but we have some elements, and those elements are gonna help us begin to establish a functional diagram. And these other elements will be there. They'll just be represented by shapes or sizes that we just don't know yet. Okay, so once we have this, what you want to do is be able to plot this out to a 20 scale because that's the drawing size that we're working on. So I'm going to make sure that we maintain that 20 scale so these sizes are useful. So the first thing you want to do is go to your layout. Excuse me, I went to layout 1. I've already formatted it, so I'm actually jumping to layout 2. Layout 1 would be fine for you. Now I know this dialog box is a little bit different. I believe you have a layout option here on your bottom of your screen that you can right click on. It doesn't give me that option in Mac, but you would right click and go edit page setup. You want to navigate to your Sasaki pen settings. In this case I'm actually going my LDIs. Letter is fine for this, for 8.5 by 11, and select OK. And what I want to do is just kind of stretch this thing out now. And this again is your viewport. Make sure it's stretched out. Now I want to double click in this and type Z, enter, S, enter, 1/20 XP, and that should put it at a 20 scale. And now you see we have all our elements there, so then you'll see that they're also pretty organized and clean on a grid, for the most part at least. But it'll make it easier to lay this out. So the idea again is that we'll have this piece and then we'll transition over here to Photoshop in a second and be able to drop it into our board just as an image, so we don't have to do really any real big adjustments to it. So try to keep that clean. So once you have that, I'm just going to go Control P or Command P for me for print, and you would set yours up, your edit page set up to a DWG PDF. I have to print to PDF, so I'm going to save as PDF. And actually before I do that, because I'm using my LDI, let me cancel that. Be cognizant of your pen settings, your colors. I want to lock this too. I'm just going to click on it and right click, and I'm going display locked. Yes. I'm just going to highlight everything in this case. And for me, my red is a good line weight. You need to check your Sasaki pen setting chart and see what color correlates with what line thickness, but I know that for me, LDI, red is a good line color. So then I'm going to go Control P, save as a PDF. I'm just going to save it to my desktop for now. You would save it to your folder or upload it to your Google folder. And this is the approximate program element sizes. All right, so that'll plot for us. Great. And what we'll have is, this is kind of where we're going, but let's take some step backs. So I'm going to open up my approximate program element sizes. Now there's two ways of doing this. Now you could just print this thing off actually and use that as a graphic representation, just your initial sizes. What I'm going to do is just show you what they look like beside your drawing. So I'm just going to copy that. And I'm going to come back over here to the functional diagram, and I'm going to turn my themes off, so that will go away. So what you see now here is basically just your site analysis. It's the desaturated version of your site analysis. And we'll go through this again in the actual functional diagram creation, but I just want to show you how you would see these pieces as they correlate to your design. So this is 20 scale, and this was 20 scale, so that means this should be accurate. And what I'm going to do is then begin to build my functional diagrams from this. So I have this, and you can just print this off again, and actually maybe just have a base map printed off and keep on using the trace like you've been using, because ultimately you're going to have to scan that trash anywhere. When I demonstrate this, I'm going to demonstrate it in Photoshop, but I have a tablet, so that allows me to sketch, because I think these things still need to be done freehand, because some of these shapes get kind of funky in here, and it's hard to do. It's harder to do it for me right now still with the computer, so we're going to do that by hand. But this is where you're going, and this is how it correlates for the approximate program element size.